Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Let's get it. Hi, I'm Lenny. In this video, I'm going to discuss Season 10 of Larry David's show, Curb Your Enthusiasm. This show is on HBO, and Season 10 was 10 episodes long. I'm going to give a brief run-through of all the craziness that happened this season. Larry David pisses off the owner of this coffee place, this coffee joint that he frequents quite often, called Mocha Joe's. And he is constantly complaining to Mocha Joe that the tables are wobbly, that the scones don't taste like scones, that his coffee is always cold. So Mocha Joe has enough of it. He's tired of hearing of it. So he kicks Larry David out. Larry David is no longer allowed at Mocha Joe's. He is banned for life. Larry gets the idea after he's kicked out of Mocha Joe's about opening up his own coffee shop. And the whole reason to open up the coffee shop is out of spite. So it is going to be a spite store. At his office, Larry is talking to his assistant Alice and notices that she has a tattoo, and he gets very interested in this tattoo, and he's trying to ask her, what does this tattoo mean? What does it represent? And Alice keeps telling him, it's private, it's personal to me, it's my tattoo, I'd rather not tell you. Larry keeps mentioning, well, if you got a tattoo, you got a tattoo so people would see it. So if you want people to see it, which obviously you do, you should be able to tell me what the tattoo represents. Alice gets offended by this. She doesn't like Larry's questioning of the tattoo. Larry also goes to get a better look at the tattoo, so he grabs her innocently, but Alice files a lawsuit, a sexual harassment lawsuit, a sexual assault lawsuit against Larry for being very touchy-feely and for not knowing his boundaries. Larry and his ex-wife Cheryl kind of start up this brief little fling they're having while Ted Danson is away filming his movie Lee. During one of Larry and Cheryl's sexual tryst, he inadvertently sends Cheryl to the hospital when she goes to perform some oral favors on him, and he put talcum powder on his junk while he was at the golf club before he met up with Cheryl because he didn't have enough time to shower, and she has an allergic reaction to the talcum powder and has to get rushed to the emergency room. Larry gets invited to a wedding that he does not want to go to, but this does pique Larry's interest when he finds out that this destination wedding is going to be in an area where he hears the best coffee beans are grown. Actor Clive Owen is putting on a one-man show, a one-man play, and leave it to Larry David to piss off Clive Owen while actually giving him a compliment. He compliments Clive Owen on the performance and the play. Clive feels that Larry David's praise wasn't sufficient enough. He actually feels it's insufficient praise of the work that he did. Larry also befriends a handicapped man this season named Wally, and his whole purpose of befriending Wally, who is played by Fred Armisen, is so that he can use Wally. Larry can park wherever he wants in the handicap zones, in the red curbed area, the white curbed area. It doesn't matter. Larry asks Wally if he can actually borrow the placard on his own for driving purposes, which Wally reluctantly does, and the placard ends up getting destroyed by a dog which might be a racist dog against Jewish people. Wally doesn't have one to drive around with, so when he actually goes to park in a handicapped parking spot that he needs, he gets asked to move because there is no placard hanging up in his car. One of Larry David's golfing buddies is a die-hard New York Jets fan. The Jets suck so bad that in turn, this ends up driving the man to his death. The Jets killed this guy. This does not stop Larry, though, from trying to sleep with his golf buddy's now widow, his golf buddy's wife, because he has heard a secret about her sexual performance, which is supposed to be out of this world. So before his golf buddy is even buried, he is trying to sleep with the widow. Larry has opened up his spite store. He actually opens up right next door to Mocha Joe. And what Larry offers in his shop, which is called Latte Larry's, In Latte Larry's, no tables are wobbly because they're bolted down. There's hand sanitizer on each and every single table. Each coffee mug has a self-coffee mug warmer, a cup warmer, like a thermos on the bottom. There are no toilets per se, but there are urinals for females and males to use. But there's no toilets because Larry does not allow defecation at his shop. But Latte Larry's is open, it's thriving, it's doing great, it's got the magic beans, and things are looking good. Actor Jon Hamm is in the midst of studying a role for a movie, and he asked if he can follow Larry David around because he wants to do a character study on Larry David, and he wants to base this new character that Jon Hamm is going to be playing in the film off of Larry David. So Larry is very honored, and Jon Hamm follows him around for a good couple of days and observes his life and his mannerisms and his characteristics. What slowly starts to happen, though, is Jon Hamm starts to evolve into the exact replica or a clone of Larry David, even getting himself kicked out of a party, Larry David style, which he feels honored because it's like, hey, I am exactly like Larry David now. Larry and Leon start a business together that allows people that work at newsstands, ticket booths, parking booths, shoe shine areas that people aren't allowed to go to the bathroom because if they left, there would be no one to watch the customers at the newsstands, no one to open up the parking gates, those kind of areas. Leon and Larry get the idea of starting a business where if they're called, kind of like an Uber service, they go, they relieve the person, they tag them out, so this person can go and relieve themselves in the bathroom. Larry slept with Cheryl to piss off Ted Danson, and now he is sleeping with Cheryl's sister to piss off Cheryl. They hook up, they sleep together, and Cheryl's sister does it out of spite to piss her off. At the golf club where Larry and Jeff golf, they get a waitress fired who announces that she has diarrhea. Very bad diarrhea. She's sweating all over the place. She looks like shit. There's beads of sweat falling off of her face, falling off of her hair, and dripping into their soup. The owner of the country club comes over and asks what's wrong. Is it because of the waitress? They say, nope, it's not because of the waitress. The owner asked them then to eat the soup, which was brought to them. Jeff doesn't want to eat the soup. Larry doesn't want to eat the soup. There's beads of sweat in the soup. Therefore, since they don't eat the soup, the owner knows it's because of the waitress that has diarrhea, and she ends up getting fired. Shortly after that, Larry meets up inadvertently with the waitress again, who's no longer employed, and Larry decides to kind of take her underneath his wing, maybe offer her a job, but he's going to take her with him to the BMW car dealership, where Larry keeps taking his car and reporting that there's issues with it, even though there's no issues with the car. Whole reason why he's doing it is because there's this expensive German licorice that the BMW dealership has. Larry offers the former waitress pieces of licorice, which she grabs out of the tin, kind of rummaging through the tin. Larry takes the licorice home with him. Him and Leon are eating tons of licorice, and they both get explosive diarrhea. Larry decides to get rid of the tin of licorice, and he gifts the tin to Susie Green, who doesn't like licorice, and then gifts it to Richard Lewis. Richard Lewis is also going to be performing in a play, and it's a role that he feels like is his once-in-a-lifetime opportunity role. Larry goes back into Richard Lewis's dressing room to wish him good luck and sees the tin of licorice that he gave Susie Green. Larry has the chance to warn him that he's probably going to get explosive diarrhea from it, but doesn't say anything, just keeps quiet. And as he's sitting in the crowd watching Richard perform a monologue, Richard gets such an intense dookie cramp that all he can do is wail in pain and crap his pants while he's on stage. While Larry's hanging out at Jeff and Susie Green's house, friends of Jeff and Susie's come over. They are expecting a baby. They are a biracial couple, black male, white female. and they are expecting a baby boy very soon. Larry asks each of the parents in front of each other what shade of brown that they hope the baby is going to be, which causes a huge argument between the two of them. They have different opinions of the shade of brown that they're hoping for, and both of them get in a huge argument, a huge fight, because of Larry's question. Larry inadvertently also causes his spite store, the coffee shop Latte Larry's, to burn down because he does not get out of the way of a fire truck in time. He actually stays in the way of the fire truck because he thinks they're using their alarm and sirens on purpose just to get to other areas quicker to get food or coffee or what have you. So he purposely keeps weaving in and out of the way of the fire truck. Turns out his coffee shop is actually on fire. One of the coffee self-warmers that goes around the coffee cup has fallen into a box filled with lots of papers and other things that can catch fire. And we find out from the firefighters who are there putting it out that not only is Latte Larry's on fire, but Mocha Joe's, which is right next door, is also on fire too. The fire department informs Larry that they would have got there sooner, but some asshole wouldn't move out of their way with the sirens and the horns blaring. This asshole was Larry. Also, the fire chief is asking why the tables don't move, and Larry informs them that they were bolted down. The tables are bolted down because nobody likes wobbly tables. The fire chief also asks, was there hand sanitizer on each table, which there was, and this is a fire accelerant. And the fire chief also asked why there was no water in the toilets, because they were going to use water from the toilets to help put the fire out. But since Larry didn't allow actual toilets in the store, just male and female urinals, because he didn't want any defecation, there was no water to help put out the fire. So with all these things adding up, it looks like Larry purposely set his store on fire and committed arson with the money that Mocha Joe gets from the lawsuit and settlement, and with the money that Alice, his former assistant, gets from her lawsuit. They are able to buy the house next door to Larry David that was for sale. And they buy it out of spite. They call it their spite house. And what they constantly keep doing is they keep throwing parties every day to piss off Larry. And this is how the season ends. If I was to grade this season of Curb Your Enthusiasm on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it a 10. This show is so brilliantly written. Year after year after year, the writing is consistent. The writing is hilarious. The callbacks, the setups. You have to be a genius. You have to be brilliant. You have to be a smart writer to be able to do this. And for it to still be funny years later, I believe the show started in 2000 and we're in 2020. This show is still brilliant, worth watching. It's hilarious. It easily gets a 10. Now we have come to the interactive part of this video. If you think this video is worthy of a thumbs up, please feel free to do so. Greatly appreciate that. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the YouTube logo down in the bottom corner, and you'll get a notification anytime I upload a video to the channel. As always, I want to say thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk about these things that I'm passionate about. I greatly appreciate that. Please be safe, be careful, and I'll talk to you soon.